Good morning. Today we'll be studying the fifth and final chapter of Hilchot Ta'aniyot. And this chapter will deal with the 4+1 fasts, as you'll see why I said 4+1 in a few moments. But the 4+1 fasts that we have in the Jewish calendar, then we'll talk about Tish'a B'Av and Chodesh Av as well. Then we'll talk about some institutions and establishments Chachamim made as a result of the destruction of Beit HaMikdash, and for that to be constantly in our minds. And the final halacha of the chapter will deal with the flipping of the fast days into Be'ezrat Hashem, days that will be days of happiness and joyfulness. And just as an introduction, Rabbi Yosef Faur writes about how these fasts are different from other personal fasts that we mentioned in the previous halachot, that these fasts, as we'll see, have to do with certain ma'asim ra'im that were done by our forefathers and that we are currently doing, and that these ma'asim have to do with political transgressions, not religious um, or, um, or other types of transgressions, and the outcome of them are certain national catastrophes that we experienced and are currently experiencing in our day today, namely not having a Beit HaMikdash and not having Eretz Israel under the rule of law of the Torah. And the 4 days set up in our calendar are in order for us to mourn these national disasters and political mistakes that have occurred, and in order for us to do teshuvah and to correct these political missteps and politically irresponsible actions that occurred back in the day and that we are currently committing, albeit passively, in our days as well. And we should not feel that we are not obligated to fix or remedy the situation. Rather, we should definitely take the best steps we can in order to build the Beit HaMikdash and have the rule of the Torah established in Eretz Israel. Be'ezrat Hashem b'mhera b'yaminu. So with that, we'll begin Hilchot Ta'aniyot, Perek He. Halacha Aleph. יש שם ימים שכל ישראל מתעניין בהן מפני הצרות שאירעו בהן. And there are days that the entire Jewish people fast as a result of national catastrophes that occurred to the Jewish people, כדי לעורר הלבבות ולפתוח דרכי תשובה, in order to shake the ethos and heart of the nation and in order to open up the path of teshuvah. ויהיה זה זיכרון למעשינו הרעים ומעשי אבותינו שהיה כמעשינו עתה, and for it to be a remembrance for our politically evil actions and wrong actions and the result and the actions of our ancestors that are analogous to our actions right now, which are politically again, political mistakes and political missteps. So much so that they resulted in their and our political catastrophe and national disaster and dismemberment, ultimately. And because once we remember and recount these actions and political decisions that led to our current situation, well, only then will we be able to remedy and mend our situation. That they shall confess and recall their political missteps and the political missteps and political mistakes that their predecessors and forefathers have made. Halacha Bet. And these are the days of which we recount and remember the political mistakes and political catastrophes that occur to us on a national scale. Yom Shelosha B'Tishri, the 3rd of Tishri, which happens to be the day after Rosh Hashanah, שבו נהרג גדליה בן אחיקם ונכבד כחלת ישראל הנשארת וסיבב להתם גלותם. The 3rd of Tishri, because Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, was slain. Gedaliah ben Ahikam was the governor of Eretz Israel after the Galut of Nebuchadnezzar, after the destruction of the first Beit HaMikdash, after the exile of a bunch of the nation to Bavel. Gedaliah ben Ahikam was tragically assassinated by other Jews, and the assassination of Gedaliah ben Ahikam basically resulted in the total exile of the Jewish people and extinguished the last remaining flame of Jewish independence in Eretz Israel after Beit Rishon. The second one is Va'asiri b'Tevet, the 10th of Tevet, שבו שמח מלך בבל נבוכדנצר הרשע על ירושלים והביאה במצור ובמצוק. And the second one is the 10th of Tevet, because the wicked Nebuchadnezzar, king of Bavel, basically surrounded Eretz Israel and laid it in siege, and really caused an extremely distressful situation for the people, inhabitants of Yerushalayim. V'shiva asar b'Tammuz, Hamisha devarim erubo. And the 15th of Tammuz, there were 5 events that were tragic and happened on this day. Nishberu haluchot uvatal hatamid mibayit rishon והובקעה ירושלים בחורבן שני, ושרף אפוסטמוס הרשע ספר תורה והעמיד צלם בהיכל. The luchot were broken. The tamid, the korban tamid that was brought every day in the morning and the evening, ceased to be brought during the first Beit HaMikdash, and the walls of Yerushalayim were breached right before the destruction. And the last thing was Apostemos, the wicked Apostemos burned the Sefer Torah and placed an idol in the Beit HaMikdash. An interesting note that Harambam mentions in Perush HaMishnah, Masechet Rosh Hashanah, Perek Aleph, is that during Beit Sheni, the fasts were optional, aside from the fast of Tisha B'Av, that what technically it seems was optional, but the entire nation fasted always on Tisha B'Av, because as we'll see in the next halakha, there were many tragedies that occurred on Tisha B'Av, and nationally we felt that we should fast on Tisha B'Av, and that despite the fact that, again, it seems to be that it was optional, but the entire Am Yisrael fasted even during Beit Sheni for Tisha B'Av. Halacha Gimel. V'Tisha B'Av Hamisha devarim erubo. And on Tisha B'Av, as we know, 5 tragic things occurred on Tisha B'Av, and it seems to be by far the most tragic day on the Jewish calendar, and the most recognized national day of mourning, in which, again, 5 extremely tragic things occurred on Tisha B'Av. First, Nigzar al Yisrael b'midbar shelo yikanesu la'aretz. The decree was issued to the Jewish people in the Midbar, not that they would not be allowed to enter Eretz Yisrael. V'harav habayit barishona v'sheniya, and the Beit HaMikdash, both the first and second one, were destroyed on Tisha B'Av. The first Beit HaMikdash was destroyed, it seems, in the year 422 before the Common Era, and the second Beit HaMikdash was destroyed in the year 69, contrary to popular belief, as we'll see. Be'ezrat Hashem, Rambam will mention that explicitly in Hilchot Shemitah Ve'yovel Perek Yod. V'nitkeda ir gedola uvet tor haya shema. And the third and another thing that occurred on Tisha B'Av was the great city of Bet Tor, or Biter, or Betar, some people call it, was captured. And there were thousands and thousands of Jewish people living in that city. V'hayalahem melech gadol, and they had a great king. V'dimuk kol Yisrael ugdolei hachamim shehu melech HaMashiach, and the almost the entirety of the Jewish people and many great sages, for example, Rabbi Akiva, believed that he was the Melech HaMashiach. This individual that Harambam here is referring to is Shimon ben Koziba, or Bar Kochva, who was the leader of the rebellion towards the end of after the destruction of the second Beit HaMikdash, and the rebellion continued for 4 long years, and unfortunately, the Romans totally, even though the rebellion at first seemed to be extremely hopeful, and the Chachamim, especially Rabbi Akiva, who was Nosek Helav Shel Ben Koziva, was one of his major supporters. Eventually, the rebellion was ended by the Romans tragically. Benafal Yad Goyim, and this Ben Koziba died in the hands of Goyim. Benehergu Kulam, and everyone in the city of Bet Tor was killed. Hamikdash, and it was an extremely tragic event, almost as tragic as the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash, because it was the last glimmer of hope for the Jewish people, that the Beit HaMikdash could be rebuilt, and Ben Koziva would overcome the Romans and defeat them, as he was pretty successful for the 4 years in which the rebellion took place. And on that day that seems to be set up for misfortune, Harash Tumnus Rufus Harasha min Malche Edom et ha'echal vet sevivav lekayem Sion Sadeh teharesh. And Turnus Rufus, the wicked Turnus Rufus, who was the Roman general who was basically in charge of Eretz Israel during the time of Ben Koziva, basically tragically plowed the site of the Beit HaMikdash and everything in the surrounding area. And it seems, in order to fulfill the pasuk in Micha and in Yirmiyah that says that Zion shall be plowed as a field, as a field would be plowed. And obviously, this symbolizes the total destruction of the Beit HaMikdash, but it is something that the Nevi'im, Yirmiyah and Micha, both warned about, and as tragic as it seems, the words of the Nevi'im were fulfilled by Turnus Rufus Harasha. Halacha Daled. Be'arba'at yemei hasumot ha'elu harehen meforashin b'Kabbalah, and these 4 fasts are actually explicit in the words of the Nevi'im. Tzom Revi'i v'Tzom HaChamishi v'Tzom HaShevi'i v'Tzom HaAsiri, as famously Zechariah Perek Het says, the 4th fast and the 5th fast and the 7th fast and the 8th and the 10th fast. Tzom HaRevi'i hu Shiva Asar B'Tammuz shehu b'Chodesh HaRevi'i. The 4th fast refers to Shiva Asar B'Tammuz, as Shiva Asar B'Tammuz is in the 4th month. V'Tzom HaChamishi ze Tish'a B'Av shehu b'Chodesh HaChamishi, and Tzom HaChamishi refers to Tish'a B'Av, which is in the 5th month of the Jewish calendar. V'Tzom HaShevi'i ze Shelosha B'Tishri shehu b'Chodesh HaShevi'i, and the 7th fast, which is the 13th of Tishri, which is the 3rd of Tishri, which is in the 7th month of the Jewish calendar. V'Tzom HaAsiri ze Asara B'Tevet shehu b'Chodesh HaAsiri, and the 10th fast, which is the 10th of Tevet, as Tevet is the 10th month on the calendar. So those are the 4 fasts that are as a remembrance to the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash. And there is an additional fast that Am Yisrael took upon themselves, not as a remembrance to the Beit HaMikdash, rather as a remembrance to the events that occurred in that time. That's why I mentioned at the opening of the chapter that the fasts are 4 plus 1, 4 fasts as a remembrance of the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash and the events that surrounded that, and other obviously tragic events, and an additional fast called Ta'anit Esther. Halacha He. V'nehagu kol Yisrael bizmanim ha'elu. And also notice the difference in language that Harambam mentions, that the opening of the chapter, he said, Yesham yamim shekol Yisrael mit'amin bahem. And here, the fast of Ta'anit Esther seems to be a national minhag, as opposed to a rabbinic, it seems, institution. ונהגו כל ישראל בזמנים אלו להתענות ב-13 באדר זכר לתענית שנטענו בימי המן, and the entirety of the Jewish people nowadays fast on the 13th of Adar as a remembrance to the fast that was done during the days of Haman. שנאמר דברי הסומות וזעקתם, as it says in the end of Megillat Esther, that the Jewish people took upon themselves to fast as a remembrance for the fast that was done during the days of Mordechai and Esther. ואם חל 13 באדר להיות בשבת, מקדימים ומתענים בחמישי, שהוא 11. And if the 13th of Adar happens to fall out on Shabbat, the fast is held on the preceding Thursday, which is the 11th of Adar. However, if one of the other 4 fasts happens to fall out on Shabbat, it is postponed until after Shabbat, meaning Sunday. If it falls out on Friday, the fast is held on Friday. ובכל הצומות האלו אין מתריעים ולא מתפללים תפילת נעילה, אבל קוראים בתורה שחרית ומנחה ויחל משה. And on all of these fasts mentioned, the teruah is not sounded and ne'ilah is not said. However, for the tefillah of shaharit and the tefillah of minha, the Torah is read, and the portion of Vayhal Moshe, Shemot Perek Lamed Bet, is read. וכולן אוכלים בשוטין בלילה חוץ מתשעה באב. And on all of these days, with the exception of Tisha B'Av, one may eat and drink during the night preceding the fast. Now we'll get into a little bit the dinim of Chodesh Av and how Tisha B'Av is different from the other fasts. And I just would like to point out that there is no mention in Harambam about Avelut or mourning 3 weeks before Tisha B'Av, as some other poskim write. And Harambam, as we'll see, only mentions certain prohibitions during the week of Tisha B'Av, and as we'll see in Rosh Chodesh Av, a decrease in Simcha. Halacha Vav, Mishnichnas Av mema'atin besimcha. Once the month of Av has begun, our enjoyment should be, and joyfulness should be decreased. V'Shabbat shechal Tisha B'Av liot betocha, and the week in which Tisha B'Av falls on, אסור לספר ולכבס וללבוש כלי מגוהץ, ואפילו כלי פשטן עד שיעבור התענית. And during the week Tisha B'Av falls on, it is prohibited to get a haircut, to do laundry, or to wear a newly ironed piece of clothing. Even a linen garment is prohibited to be worn until after the fast is done. So, to point out, if, for example, Tisha B'Av falls out on a Sunday, none of these halachot apply because there is no week in which to observe these prohibitions. וכבר נהגו ישראל שלא לאכול בשר בשבת זו, ולא ייכנסו למרחץ עד שיעבור התענית. And the Jewish people have been accustomed not to eat meat during this week and not to enter the bathhouse until after the ta'anit. I'd like to point out here that Harambam here does not mention Nahagu Kol Yisrael, in contrast to Halacha He, that Nahagu Kol Yisrael to do the Ta'anit Esther. Here Harambam simply says Nahagu Yisrael not necessarily that the entirety of the Jewish people observed this minhag during Harambam's time, nor during the time of the Talmud. ויש מקומות שנהגו לבטל השחיטה מראש חודש עד התענית. And there are places that were accustomed to not to do shechita from Rosh Chodesh until after the ta'anit. Halacha Zayin. Tish'a B'Av lelo kiyomo lechol davar. The day of Tish'a B'Av, the night of Tish'a B'Av is exactly like the day of Tish'a B'Av in every way. Ve'en ochlin ela mibe'od yom, and one may only eat during the preceding day. Uven Hashem hashot shelo asur ki yom kippurim, and the twilight and the time between Shekiah and Tzedek Chavim is prohibited. In this is considered a forbidden time in this respect, just as it is on Yom Kippur. ולא יאכל בשר ולא ישתה יין בסעודה המפסיק בה, אבל שותהו יין מגיתו שיש לו 3 ימים או פחות, ויאכל בשר מליח שיש לו 3 ימים או יותר, ולא יאכל שני תבשילים. And during the fast prior during the meal prior to the fast, one may not eat meat or drink wine. However, one may drink wine straight from the vat if it is 3 days old or less, and may eat salted meat if it is 3 days old or more. Additionally, one may not eat 2 different cooked foods, or in our lingo, a 2-course meal. Halacha Het. במה דברים אמורים? שאכל ערב תשעה באב אחר חצות. This only applies for someone who is eating on the eve of Tish'a B'Av after midday. אבל אם סעד קודם חצות, אף על פי שהוא מפסיק בה, אוכל מה שירצה. However, if an individual wants to have his se'udah before the fast prior to Chatzot, and then not eat after Chatzot, he may eat whatever he wishes. וערב תשעה באב שחל להיות בשבת, אוכל ושותה כל צורכו. And if Tish'a B'Av happens to fall out on Saturday night, he may eat anything he wants during the Seudah Mafseket, prior to the fast. And on his table he may have a feast as plentiful as a feast Shlomo HaMelech may have had back in his day. Similarly, if Tish'a B'Av falls out on Shabbat, there is no need to forego anything, and the fast, as we mentioned before, is pushed off to Sunday. And you don't need to do any minhagei avelut on Shabbat if Tish'a B'Av happens to fall out on Shabbat. As we'll see the minhagei avelut in a few moments. Halacha Tet. Zohi midat kol ha'am. The aforementioned rule applies to the general population that can't endure so much difficulty. However, the early pious men, the following was their practice. Erev Tish'a B'Av mevi'in lo le'adam haliva b'melach ve'shoreb b'mayim ve'yosh של המים בדאגה ובשיממון ובחייה, כמי שמתו תשעה באב, to them, water, and the oven and stove in a place, and he would eat the bread with salt dipped in water, and you would wash it down with a pitcher of and anguish, just as someone who would be sitting and eating before a deceased relative in the same type of sadness. And it is appropriate for sages of Israel and the Chachamim to have this practice or to do something of this sort. And Harambam mentions about himself and his family that they would not, on the eve of Tisha B'Av, they would not eat a cooked food, even a cooked dish with lentils, unless it was on Shabbat. And the cooked dish with lentils was, back in the day, a meal that was pretty much only for, not only for, but it was pretty much that the mourners would eat the tafshir shel adashim. Halacha Yod. Ubarot umnikot mit'anot umashlimot betish'a b'av. Women who are pregnant or nursing fast on Tisha B'Av and complete the entire fast. As we mentioned earlier, someone who is pregnant is someone who is 3 months pregnant or more, and nikah is someone who is 2 years after childbirth. ואסור ברחיצה בין בחמין בין בצונן ואפילו להושיט אצבעו במים. תשעה באב is prohibited to wash oneself, whether it be in hot water or cold water. Even to wash one's finger in water is prohibited. ואסור בשיחה של תענוג ובנעילת הסנדל ותשמיש המיטה כיום הכיפורים. So too it is prohibited to anoint oneself for pleasure, and to, in contrast to, for example, להעביר את הזוהמה, to get rid of a bad odor. It is also prohibited to wear leather shoes and to have marital relations, just as on Yom Kippurim. In a place that melacha is done, it is permitted to do melacha. And if one happens to be in a place that melacha is not done, melacha should not be done. And in every place, Talmidei Chachamim do not do melacha on Tisha B'Av. ואמרו חכמים שכל העושה בו מלאכה אינו רואה סימן ברכה לעולם. And the Chachamim stated that anyone who would work and do melacha on Tisha B'Av would not see a sign of beracha in the money that they made on Tisha B'Av. Halacha Yod Aleph. תלמידי חכמים אין נותנים שלום זה לזה בתשעה באב אלא יושבים דובים נאנחים כאבלים. תלמידי חכמים do not exchange greetings to each other on Tisha B'Av, rather they sit in anguish, sad and depressed, just as someone who is in mourning would. ואם נתן להם עם הארץ שלום, מחזירים לו בשפה רפה וכל בדרוש. And if in עם הארץ, someone who is uneducated, exchanges greeting with a Talmid Chacham, he should answer them in a soft voice and in seriousness. As we mentioned, Chachamim didn't want to bring hatred between themselves and the regular population of regular citizens. So if an Am Haaretz would exchange greetings with them, they wouldn't ignore them. Rather, they would answer softly but seriously. ואסור לקרות בתשעה באב בתורה או בנביאים או בכתובים ובמשנה ובהלכות ובתלמוד ובהגדות. ואינו קורא אלא באיוב ובקינות ובדברים הרעים שבירמיה. So it's polite to read Torah or Tuvim or Mishnah or Halacha or Talmud or Agadot, and one may only read and study Iyov and Kinot and the pages had the meaning to wear tefillin. The כנגד הפתח destroyed or as beautiful that a king may do. Rather, they should when plastering and whitewashing the building or the home, a place that is the size of an amma by an amma, which is about half a meter, should be left. That isn't plastered or whitewashed or covered with concrete. והלוקח חצר מיוסדת ומחוירת, הרי זו כחזקתה, ומחייבים אותו לקלוף הכתלים. However, if one purchases a home or a building that is already painted and decorated, it may remain in this state, and he is not obligated to peel off the decorations in the wall to make a place that is an amma by an amma that is left without plaster or cement. הלכה י"ג וכן התקינו שהעורך שולחן לעשות סעודה לאורחים מחסר ממנו מעט. So too, the Chachamim required that when arranging a meal or a banquet for guests, something should be omitted, so that a part of the table would be left without tableware. And again, a part of the table would be left without a tableware that would typically be placed there. ושהעיסה עושה תכשיטי הכסף והזהב, משיירת מין ממיני התכשיט שנוהגת בהן, כדי שלא יהיה תכשיט שלם. So too, when a woman has a set of silver or gold jewelry that is made, one of the components that is usually included should be left out so that the set would remain incomplete. וכשהחתן נושא, לוקח אפר מקלה ונותן בראשו מקום הנחת התפילין. So too, when a groom is about to be married, he should place ashes on his head in the spot in which the tefillin is worn. And all of these things are done in order to remember Yerushalayim, Shne'emar, as it says in Tehillim famously, Yerushalayim tishkachi. As this follows the Perush of Radak. May my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth and not allow me to sing if I on the to type of melody or singing on account of the vocal singing over wine is as it's in Yeshaya. Is words of praise and song. And the minhag, sorry for that technical difficulty. The minhag of the entirety of the Jewish people is to say words of praise and song towards Hakadosh Baruch Hu, and anything of this sort on yain, on wine, over wine. Halakha Tetvav. ואחר כך גזרו על עטרות חתנים. Later on, the Chachamim decreed that it is prohibited for a groom to wear a garland or a type of crown ornament. שלא יניח החתן בראשו שום כליל, and for the Hatan not to wear any type of crown on his head. שנאמר הסיר המצנפת והרים העטרה. That the crown and headpiece should be removed, as it says in Yehezkel Perek Kaf Aleph. וכן גזרו על עטרות קלות אם היו כסף וזהב, אבל שלגדיל מותרת לכלה. So too, Chachamim instituted that a bride may not wear a type of diadem in the shape of Yerushalayim, as Harambam mentions in Pirush HaMishnayot, in Pirush HaMishnayot, Masechet Sotah, I believe. If they were made out of gold or silver. However, if they were made by a twisted thread, the kala would be permitted to wear it. Halakha Tetzayin. מי שראה ערי יהודה בחורבנן אומר ערי קודשך היו מדבר. If anyone who happens to see the cities of Yehuda and their destruction says the following pasuk from Yeshaya, that your holy and distinguished cities have become wilderness and desolate, the Korea, and does in Keri'ah and tears one's clothes, just as an Avel would, as we'll see Be'ezat Hashem in Hilchot Avelut Perek Tet. ראה ירושלים בחורבנה אומר בית קודשנו ותפארתנו וקורע. Anyone who sees Yerushalayim as it is in its destruction, standing in its destruction, must say the pasuk in Yeshaya, also Perek Samech Daled, our distinguished place in Bet HaMikdash, in place of glory, has become burned. The continuation of the pasuk goes, and must do Keri'ah as well. Umehechan hayav likroa, and from when is an individual obligated to do Keri'ah? Min hatzofim, from when he may see Yerushalayim. Some happen to take this that this refers to Har Hatzofim, the mountain called Mount Scopus, that you can scope on Yerushalayim, but it seems that the Harambam is referring to any place in which you can see and have a view of Yerushalayim. And when an individual reaches the place of the Bet HaMikdash, one should do another Keri'ah. If an individual happens to encounter the Mikdash first, for example, if he came from the east from Midbar Yehuda, he should do the Keri'ah for the Mikdash and add to that Keri'ah for Yerushalayim, and only needs one Keri'ah, one long Keri'ah. Halakha Yod Zayin. כל הקרעים האלה כולן בידו ומעומד, וקורע על כל כסות שעליו עד שיגלה את ליבו. All of these keri'ot, these tearings of garments, should all be done by hand, should all be done standing up, and should be done exposing one's heart, obviously implying that one should tear all the garments an individual is wearing until his heart is exposed. And one may not re-sew regularly these tearings, these keri'ot. However, one may re-stitch with weak threads the garment, or to re-sew with few stitches, or to re-sew but with stitches that are scattered, or to sew it with a type of ladder stitch that would show that it is not totally re-sewed, and just like the other stitches mentioned. Halakha Yod Het. היה הולך ובא לירושלים, הולך ובא, אם תוך 30 יום אינו קורע קרע אחר, ואם לאחר 30 יום חוזר וקורע. If someone visits Yerushalayim repeatedly, the rule is the following. If he visits Yerushalayim within 30 days of a previous visit, he does not need to do Kiri'ah. However, if it is after 30 days, he must do Kiri'ah again. Halacha Yotet, the final halacha of this chapter and of Hilchot Ta'aniyot. Harambam beautifully ends this chapter on a hopeful note and on a beautiful halacha Yotet. Kol limot hamashiach mentioned above are destined cancelled or above of Mashiach. ולא עוד, אלא שהם עתידים להיות ימים טובים ושמחה. Not indeed, and not only that, but they are destined to be turned into festive and joyful days, days of rejoicing and happiness. Shne'emar, as it says famously in Zechariah Perek Het, Ko amar Adonai Sebaot, Tzom HaRevi'i v'Tzom HaShevi'i v'Tzom HaAsiri, Yeh leBeit Yehuda leSason u'Simcha u'Mo'adim Tovim, v'Ha'emet v'Ha'Shalom Ahevu. Just as Harambam opened up this chapter in Perek, in Halacha Dalet of this chapter, mentioning the 4 Ta'aniyot as sources for our fasting on these days. In Halacha Dalet, Rambam beautifully closes the chapter with a full mentioning of this pasuk, which translated goes the following: Thus God of Yehuda for days of joy and happiness and cheerful days. Therefore, love, truth, and peace, as Be'ezat Hashem, with the coming of Mashiach b'mihra b'yameinu, we will see these days to be fulfilled as days of happiness and joyfulness, as Zechariah describes b'mihra b'yameinu. Baruch Adonai le'olam, Amen ve'amen.